Commander Jake Morrison, though everyone called him Lucky for reasons that would become painfully obvious to his captors, sat in energy shackles aboard the luxury cruiser Gilded Talon, looking about as concerned as someone waiting for a delayed bus, which, considering he was surrounded by 3-meter-tall crystalline aliens who'd just sentenced him to death, was either remarkably zen or completely insane. "You will die, screaming human filth," declared Princess Zarathel, her translucent blue skin shimmering with indignation. Everything about her screamed "I've never been told no" in my life, from her ornate crown that probably cost more than most planets' GDP to her voice that could shatter glass and apparently had shattered several servants' eardrums just that morning. Jake tilted his head thoughtfully. "You know, Princess, I've got to ask, do all Velthari royal speeches come with the mandatory death threats, or is that just your personal touch? Because honestly, it's a bit on the nose." Captain Vex, the princess's military advisor, chittered nervously. His insectoid features twitched as he studied Jake with compound eyes that missed nothing. "Your Majesty, I must reiterate my concerns about this human. His behavior is anomalous." "Anomalous?" Zarathel's voice climbed an octave. "He's a primitive monkey who thought he could infiltrate the Velthari homeworld. The audacity alone deserves the slowest death our torture chambers can provide." Jake's grin widened. "Oh, about that infiltration thing, you might want to check your security feeds. Like right now." "Seriously, I'll wait." The princess's crystalline features contorted with rage. "How dare you mock me? Guards, prepare the quantum disintegrator." But Jake wasn't looking at the guards. He wasn't looking at the princess. He was looking past them, that insufferable smile never leaving his face as he raised his shackled hands and pointed behind them. "Princess, with all due respect, and I mean that in the most sarcastic way possible, you might want to turn around. Because in about 30 seconds, this conversation is going to get a lot more interesting." Vex's antennae twitched frantically. Something was wrong. Humans weren't supposed to be this calm when facing execution. They were supposed to beg, plead, maybe offer information in exchange for their lives. They weren't supposed to sit there grinning like they knew something everyone else didn't. "What is behind us, human?" Zarathel demanded, though she didn't turn around. Royal protocol demanded she never turn her back on a prisoner, even a shackled one. Jake's smile somehow got even wider. "Oh, Princess, you're about to find out why they call me Lucky." Princess Zarathel had never, in her 300-year life, encountered a being who didn't cower in her presence. Entire star systems bowed when she entered a room. Ambassadors from warrior races trembled when she spoke. And yet this monkey in primitive clothing was sitting there like he was waiting for room service. "You dare ignore me?" she shrieked, her voice hitting frequencies that made nearby crystal decorations ring like wind chimes. "I am Princess Zarathel of the Velthari Empire. My bloodline stretches back 10,000 years. I command fleets that could glass your pathetic little planet." Jake nodded appreciatively. "That's a hell of a resume, Princess. Really impressive. Though I have to say, the whole glass your planet threat loses some impact when you consider that we humans have been threatening to glass our own planet for centuries. We're kind of immune to existential dread at this point." Vex pulled up the capture reports on his datapad, his compound eyes scanning the details for the 100th time. "Your Majesty, if I may, the circumstances of his capture were unusual." "Unusual how?" Zarathel snapped, though her attention remained fixed on Jake's infuriating smile. "Well, he walked up to our perimeter guards and surrendered. Voluntarily. Said he'd like to speak with management." Jake chuckled. "Hey, I was polite about it. I even brought cookies. Did your boys ever tell you about the cookies? Chocolate chip, made from earth ingredients. They seem to really enjoy them." The princess's crystalline skin flushed deeper blue. "You offered our guards baked goods?" "Food is diplomacy, Princess." Though I guess when you're born with a silver spoon or whatever the VL-Thari equivalent is, you might not understand the concept of winning hearts and minds through carbohydrates. Zarathel gestured wildly at the ship around them. Look at this vessel. The gilded talon is worth more than your entire solar system. Every surface is inlaid with precious metals from a dozen worlds. The very air you breathe is filtered through crystals that cost more than most civilizations' annual budgets. Oh, I noticed, Jake said, glancing around at the aggressively golden everything. Very subtle. Really shows restraint. I particularly love how even the toilet paper holders are made of platinum. Nothing says I'm secure in my power like expensive bathroom fixtures. Vex's paranoia was reaching critical levels. Your Majesty, perhaps we should check the security feeds as he suggested. His confidence is disturbing. I will not be dictated to by a prisoner. Zarathel's voice cracked with indignation. But fine. Show me these feeds. I want to see what this deluded creature thinks will save him. The security feeds flickered to life on the main display. Everything looked normal: guards at their posts, crew members going about their duties, the ship's corridors gleaming with their usual ridiculous amount of gold trim. Jake's smile somehow managed to get even more infuriating. Oh, Princess, you're looking at the wrong feeds. Try checking the ones from about, 2 hours ago? Around the time your guards were enjoying those cookies I mentioned. The security feeds rewound, and suddenly everything that had seemed normal revealed itself as anything but. While Princess Zarathel had been focused on her prize prisoner, other figures had been moving through her ship like ghosts. Who is that? Vex demanded, pointing at a figure in maintenance coveralls casually strolling through the engineering section. That's Riley, Jake said conversationally. Tech specialist. Master's degree in xenoengineering from IT, minor in making alien technology do exactly what she wants it to do. She's got this thing about hacking systems that supposedly can't be hacked. Takes it as a personal challenge. On screen, Riley was doing something to a control panel that made sparks fly in very artistic patterns. The timestamp showed this happening while Jake was being formally arrested. And that one. Zarathel's voice was climbing toward the ultrasonic range again. Murphy, demolitions expert. Don't let the name fool you, he's Irish, sure. But he's also got hands steadier than a surgeon and a mind for explosive chemistry that would make your weapons engineers weep with envy. He's not planting bombs, by the way. He's doing something much more creative. The feeds showed Murphy carefully installing small devices throughout the ship's infrastructure, not on anything that would cause catastrophic damage, but on systems that would create maximum chaos when activated. And I suppose you're going to tell me that figure in the pilot's section is another one of your little friends? Vex's voice was hollow with growing dread. Garcia. Best pilot in 3 solar systems. She can fly anything with engines, and probably a few things without them. Right now she's installing what we like to call alternative navigation protocols in your ship's systems. The feeds showed Garcia's handiwork, subtle modifications to the ship's navigation and communication arrays that would be invisible to casual inspection but would give humans complete control when activated. Princess Zarathel's crystalline features were shifting through every color in the spectrum. This is impossible. Our security is impenetrable. We have sensors that can detect a grain of sand moving through hyperspace. Yeah, about that, Jake said, his tone shifting to something almost sympathetic. See, you built your security to detect threats. Really impressive stuff. I'm genuinely amazed at the quantum-level scanning technology. But here's the thing about human psychology: we don't fight fair. We don't announce ourselves. We don't challenge you to honorable combat. We smile. We bring cookies, and while you're focused on the obvious threat, we're already 3 steps ahead. Vex was frantically checking system statuses on his datapad. Your Majesty, I'm showing minor anomalies in 17 different systems. Nothing critical, but when activated simultaneously, They'll turn your mighty warship into a very expensive paperweight, Jake finished. Oh, and Princess? You might want to check your communications array. I think Riley left you a message. The ship's communication system crackled to life, and suddenly Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up began playing through every speaker on the ship. The crew looked around in confusion as the upbeat Earth melody echoed through corridors designed for the crystalline harmonics of Velthari music. Jake's grin was now approaching supernova levels of smugness. Riley's got a sense of humor. She rick-rolled an entire alien warship. I think that's got to be some kind of record. This is impossible. Princess Zara Thale shrieked over the continuing musical assault. Humans are supposed to be primitive. You barely achieved faster than light travel. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Jake shrugged as much as his energy shackles would allow. You're absolutely right, Princess. We're not stronger than you, I mean. Look at me next to your guards. We're not faster, your reflexes could probably dodge bullets. We're not smarter, your mathematics make our greatest minds look like children. But here's the thing about humans, we're really, really good at cheating. Cheating? Vex's compound eyes focused intently on Jake. Oh yeah, see, when you're the weakest, slowest, most fragile species in the galaxy, you learn to get creative. We've been doing it for millennia. You know what a Trojan horse is, Captain? A gift? Vex ventured. A gift with 30 armed soldiers hiding inside it. We gave it to our enemies 3,000 years ago, and they dragged it right into their supposedly impregnable city. While they were celebrating their victory, we opened the gates from the inside. The city fell in one night. Princess Zara Thale gestured frantically at her guards. Execute him. Now, before he can. The guards reached for their weapons and froze. Instead of their quantum disruptors, they were holding rubber chickens. Bright yellow rubber chickens that squeaked when squeezed. Oh, that's Murphy's work, Jake said delightedly. He's got this thing about psychological warfare. Figured if you're going to be humiliated, might as well be humiliated by poultry. One of the guards squeezed his rubber chicken experimentally. It let out a pathetic squeak that somehow managed to be more dignified than the guard's expression. You see, Princess, humans have this evolutionary advantage. We're persistence hunters. We don't give up, ever. When a mammoth was too big to fight, we followed it for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. When a fortress was too strong to storm, we built a bigger fortress around it and waited for them to starve. When the Nazis had better technology, we outproduced them. When the Soviets had more nukes, we outspent them. And when the Velthari Empire has better weapons, better armor, and better ships, well, we just make sure none of that matters. Vex was beginning to look at Jake with something approaching respect. Your species' reputation for unpredictability is accurate. Oh, Captain, you have no idea. Riley's been in your computer systems for 2 hours now. She's not just hacking them, she's rewriting them. By now, she probably knows more about your ship's capabilities than you do. Murphy's turned your weapons into toys, but more importantly, he's turned your ship into a percussion instrument. And Garcia? Well, let's just say that when we leave here, we're taking the scenic route. The ship's AI voice suddenly cut through Rick Astley's crooning. Attention passengers, this is your captain speaking. We'll be experiencing some turbulence shortly. Please ensure your seatbelts are fastened and your tray tables are in their upright positions. Have a nice day. That's not our AI, Vex said weakly. No, Jake agreed. That's Garcia. She's got a thing about proper flight safety announcements. Very professional, our Garcia. Princess Zara Thale was now cycling through colors that probably didn't exist in normal space. This is not possible. We are the Velthari Empire. We have conquered 17 star systems. We are the apex predators of this galaxy. Yeah, about that, Jake said, his voice gentle but inexorable. See, Princess, that's exactly your problem. You're apex predators. You're used to being the biggest, scariest thing in the room. But humans? We're not apex predators. We're pack hunters. We're the species that looked at every other creature on our planet and said, how can we make this work for us? We domesticated wolves into dogs. We turned wild grass into wheat. We looked at the ocean and said, let's put a boat on it. We looked at the sky and said, let's put a person in it. And now we're looking at the galaxy and saying, let's make some friends. Friends? Zarathel's voice cracked. Oh, Princess, you have no idea what's coming. Murphy's charges began detonating in sequence, and suddenly the gilded talon sounded like a percussion orchestra having a nervous breakdown. But these weren't destructive explosions, they were carefully orchestrated chaos. Lights flickered in patterns that spelled out "Hello, Princess" in binary. Doors began opening and closing in rhythm to the still-playing Earth music. Emergency klaxons joined the cacophony, but instead of their usual warning tones, they were harmonizing with Rick Astley. What did you do to my ship? Princess Zarathel demanded, her crystalline features now shifting through colors that hurt to look at. Murphy calls it percussive diplomacy, Jake explained as his energy shackles suddenly clicked open. He's got this theory that if you're going to make a statement, you should make it loud enough for everyone to hear. Riley emerged from a maintenance shaft, her coveralls now adorned with property of Earth patches. She was grinning with the satisfaction of someone who'd just solved a particularly challenging puzzle. Hey Jake, nice work keeping them distracted. Their security protocols are fascinating, like watching a toddler try to build a sandcastle in a hurricane. Riley, meet Princess Zarathel. Princess Riley. She's the one who's been redecorating your ship's software architecture. Your Majesty, Riley said with a mock bow. I have to say, your programmers did beautiful work. Really elegant code. I almost felt bad about improving it. From the ship's speakers, Garcia's voice crackled. Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our descent into the adventure of a lifetime. Current altitude, still in space. Current attitude, awesome. Flight time to destination, however long it takes to really annoy some aliens. Murphy appeared through what had been a solid wall 5 minutes earlier, his Irish accent thick with satisfaction. Ah, there's the man himself. Jake, you should have seen their faces when I replaced their plasma conduits with silly string dispensers. Artistic it was. Captain Vex was frantically checking his systems. Your Majesty, I'm reading cascade failures in 90% of our defensive systems. They're not destroyed, they're just reconfigured. Reconfigured how? Zarathel's voice was barely above a whisper. Riley pulled out a tablet that was definitely not standard Velthari technology. Well, your quantum disruptors now fire confetti. Your shields project disco balls. Your life support systems are now optimized for human physiology. You're welcome, by the way. And you're faster than light drive? Let's just say it's about to take us somewhere your navigation computers never imagined. The ship lurched as Garcia engaged the modified engines. Through the massive viewports, the stars began to streak past in patterns that definitely weren't following normal hyperspace physics. This is impossible, Princess Zarathel whispered. You can't just modify a ship's fundamental systems while it's in operation. Princess. Jake said gently. I want you to remember this moment. Not because we're humiliating you, well, okay. We're totally humiliating you, but because this is the first time you've encountered a species that doesn't fight the way you expect. We don't challenge you to honorable combat. We don't match your superior technology with our own. We adapt. We improvise. We make your own systems work for us. But how? Vex asked. There was genuine curiosity in his voice now, the paranoia replaced by professional interest. Because we're not trying to be better than you, Riley explained, her fingers dancing across alien controls like she'd been born to them. We're trying to be different. Your security was designed to stop threats that behave rationally. We're not rational, we're creative. Murphy grinned, his hands still working on some incomprehensible modification to the ship's environmental systems. Plus, we've got the advantage of being the underdogs. When you're used to winning through superior firepower, you forget that sometimes the best weapon is a really good joke. As if summoned by his words, the ship's AI announced, "Attention passengers, we are now broadcasting live to the Velthari fleet." Say cheese. Princess Zarathel's horrified expression was now being transmitted across subspace to every Velthari military vessel in the sector. Her royal dignity, maintained through 3 centuries of absolute power, was being systematically dismantled by 4 humans with a sense of humor. "My reputation," she whispered. "My authority. My empire." "We'll survive," Jake said with surprising kindness. "But it might need to learn some new tricks." The gilded Talon emerged from hyperspace in a shower of glitter, Murphy's final touch to the ship's particle wake system. They were now orbiting a small, unremarkable planet that definitely wasn't on any Velthari star charts. "Ladies and gentlemen," Garcia announced over the ship's communication system, "welcome to Earth. Local time is 2:47 p.m., temperature is a comfortable 72 degrees, and the weather is partly cloudy with a chance of first contact protocols." Through the viewport, Princess Zarathel could see a blue-green world that looked almost insultingly peaceful. No massive orbital platforms, no planet-cracking weapons. Just a small, pretty planet that had somehow produced the most infuriating species in the galaxy. "This is your home world?" she asked, her voice hollow with disbelief. "One of them," Jake said. "We've got a few colonies scattered around now. Nothing as impressive as your empire, but we're working on it." Riley was packing up her equipment with the satisfied air of someone who'd just completed a masterpiece. "Princess, I want you to know that everything I did to your ship can be undone. Your systems are intact, just temporarily redirected. Think of it as a software upgrade with a sense of humor." "But why?" Vex asked. "You could have destroyed us. You could have taken our ship, our technology, our lives. Why this elaborate demonstration?" Murphy laughed, the sound echoing through the golden corridors. "Because, Captain, we're not conquerors. We're storytellers. And the best stories are the ones where nobody dies, everybody learns something, and the universe becomes a little more interesting." Jake stood up, stretching muscles that had been constrained by energy shackles for hours. "You see, Princess, the Galactic Alliance has been watching the Velthari Empire for some time. Your expansion, your military buildup, your, let's call them, aggressive trade negotiations with smaller species. They were concerned." "The Galactic Alliance?" Zarathel's voice was barely a whisper. "Oh, did we forget to mention? We're members now. Newest species to join, actually. They had this little test they wanted us to take, something about proving we could handle delicate diplomatic situations with appropriate creativity and minimal casualties." Garcia's voice crackled through the speakers. "Test results are in, folks. According to the Alliance monitoring stations, we just passed with flying colors. Literally. The glitter is still showing up on their sensors." Vex was staring at his datapad in amazement. "Your Majesty, I'm receiving communications from the Alliance Council. They're requesting a formal diplomatic meeting with us." "A meeting?" Princess Zarathel's crystalline features were shifting through what might have been hope. "Yeah, about that," Jake said, pulling out what was clearly a formal Alliance diplomatic credential. "Turns out the galaxy's been waiting for someone to convince the Velthari Empire that there might be better ways to resolve interstellar disputes than who's got the biggest guns. Congratulations. Princess, you're about to become the first Velthari royal to negotiate a treaty instead of dictating terms." Riley grinned. "Plus, we've got some really interesting ideas about joint technological development. Your quantum crystalline structures, our adaptive engineering philosophy, could be the start of something beautiful." Murphy was already sketching plans on a napkin. "I'm thinking we start with a cultural exchange program. Your people learn about human creativity. Our people learn about Velthari precision engineering. Maybe throw in some cooking lessons. Those cookies were just the beginning. Princess Zarathel looked around at her glitter-covered, Rick-rolled, thoroughly compromised ship, then at the 4 humans who had systematically dismantled everything she thought she knew about power and authority. "You turned a military engagement into a diplomatic mission," she said slowly. "We turned a potential war into a learning experience," Jake corrected. "See, Princess, that's what humans do. We don't just solve problems, we turn them into opportunities. We don't just survive, we adapt. And we don't just make friends, we make family." Captain Vex was smiling now, his compound eyes reflecting something that might have been relief. "Your Majesty, perhaps it's time to consider that strength doesn't always come from the size of your fleet. Sometimes," Garcia added over the comm, "it comes from the size of your imagination." Princess Zarathel looked out at the small blue planet below, then at the 4 humans who had just revolutionized her understanding of the universe. Her crystalline features settled into something approaching a smile. "Very well," she said. "But next time you want to negotiate, Commander Morrison, perhaps you could start with the cookies instead of the elaborate heist scenario?" Jake's grin was pure sunshine. "Princess, where would be the fun in that?" And as the Gilded Talon began receiving approach vectors from Earth's orbital platforms, Rick Astley's voice echoed one final time through the ship's speakers, promising never to give up, never to let down, and never to desert the strange new friendship that had just bloomed between 2 very different species. After all, that's what humans do. They turn the impossible into the inevitable, one smile at a time.